You've already checked your phone 3 times since you started reading this. You didn't decide to, your hand just moved, your eyes just went there, and now you're slightly annoyed at yourself. But in about 4 minutes, it will happen again. You're not weak, you're not distracted, but the real answer for why you can't stop is far stranger than anything the wellness industry will tell you. This isn't about apps, it isn't about blue light, it isn't about screen time limits or digital detoxes or turning your phone face down on the table and pretending that fixes something. This goes deeper. This is about a system inside your brain that is older than language, older than fire, a system that was never designed for the object currently sitting in your pocket, but has been hijacked by it so completely that some of the world's most sophisticated engineers spend their entire careers making sure it stays that way. To understand what's happening, you have to go back, not to the invention of the smartphone, not to social media, much further, to a time when your ancestors lived in groups of 50 to 150 people on the open savanna. In that world, information was survival. Who was threatening the group? Who had found food? Who was building an alliance against whom? What had changed while you were sleeping? Staying updated on your social environment wasn't a personality trait, it was life or death. The humans who compulsively tracked social changes, who noticed when something was different, who couldn't rest easy without knowing what was happening around them, those were the humans who survived. The ones who didn't bother, who were content to stay uninformed, tended not to pass their genes on. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has written extensively about how the human nervous system evolved to be hypervigilant to change in the social environment. A shift in the group's mood, a new tension between two members, a stranger approaching from a distance. These were not casual observations, they were survival data. Your brain evolved to crave this information the way it craves food and water, because for hundreds of thousands of years, not having it could get you killed. Now compress that history into the object in your hand. Your phone is, at its core, a social information delivery device. Every notification is a signal that something in your social environment has changed. Someone responded to you. Someone reacted to something you said. Something has shifted in the group. Your ancient brain cannot tell the difference between a status update from a friend and the rustling in the tall grass that means a predator has moved. Both are changes in the environment. Both demand immediate attention. The same neural pathway that kept your ancestors alive is the one firing every time that notification light blinks. But it goes further than that, and this is where the engineers come in. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered in the mid-20th century that the most powerful way to reinforce a behavior isn't to reward it every time, and it isn't to never reward it. The most powerful reinforcement schedule is what he called variable ratio reinforcement. Reward the behavior sometimes, unpredictably, randomly. This produces behavior that is almost impossible to extinguish. Slot machines work this way. They don't pay out every pull, and they don't pay out never. They pay out sometimes. And that sometimes makes the pulling compulsive. Your phone works exactly the same way. Sometimes you pick it up and there's something exciting, a message from someone you care about, an unexpected piece of news, a piece of content that genuinely moves you. Sometimes you pick it up and there's nothing. The unpredictability is not an accident. It is the mechanism. The people who design the systems you use every day understand Skinner's research thoroughly and have built their products around it. Psychologist Tristan Harris, who worked inside Google before becoming one of the technology industry's most prominent critics, has described the smartphone notification system as a slot machine that you carry in your pocket. The pull is the check. The variable reward is whatever you find when you get there. And just like a slot machine, the behavior isn't really about the reward. It's about the anticipation. Your dopamine system, the part of your brain responsible for motivation and the pursuit of reward, fires most strongly not when you receive something good, but when you expect that you might. The moment before you look is the neurological peak. The checking itself is the compulsion, not the content. And then there is a social dimension, which may be the most powerful of all. Psychologist Naomi Eisenberger's research showed that social exclusion activates the same neural regions as physical pain. Being left out of a group chat registers in your brain with the same urgency as stubbing your toe. being unresponded to, being ignored, being invisible in a conversation you started, these are not minor annoyances. To the ancient threat detection system running underneath your modern mind, they are signals of social exclusion. And social exclusion, for a creature that evolved in small groups on the open savanna, was one of the most dangerous things that could happen to you. Being cut off from the group meant no protection, no food sharing, no cooperative childcare, no survival. So when you check your phone to see if someone has responded, your brain is not being frivolous. It is running the same program it always has, monitoring the social environment for signs of inclusion or exclusion, for signals of where you stand within the group. The fact that the group is now partly digital, that inclusion now comes in the form of likes and replies and read receipts, does not matter to the ancient machinery doing the monitoring. It cannot update. It can only run its original code on whatever inputs the modern world provides. There is something worth sitting with in all of this. The feeling you get when you check your phone compulsively is not a character flaw. It is not evidence of weakness or lack of discipline. It is the signature of a social brain doing exactly what it was built to do, in an environment that has been deliberately engineered to exploit that function as efficiently as possible. The engineers knew about Skinner. They knew about dopamine. They knew about social pain. They built the products with that knowledge, and they continue to refine them. Understanding the mechanism doesn't make it disappear, but it does change what you're fighting. You're not fighting laziness. You're not fighting poor habits. You're fighting one of the most powerful behavioral engineering projects in human history, aimed directly at one of the oldest and most vulnerable parts of your brain. The next time your hand moves toward your phone without your permission, you might pause for 1 second and recognize what's actually happening. Your ancient social radar just detected a signal that something in the environment might have changed. It wants you to check. It always will. That part isn't going away. But between the impulse and the action, there is a gap. And in that gap lives the only freedom you actually have. You've already checked your phone again since you started reading this. Of course you have. You were always going to. The question was never whether. The question is whether, for just a moment, you noticed.